Wow, Oscar fans, what about those shockaroos for Best Picture and Best Actress? And how did you score against these guys? This is the A-team of Oscar prognosticators. We're here with Joyce Eng, Marcus Dixon, Daniel Montgomery, Chris Beachum. I'm Tom O'Neill of Gold Derby. And let's go to the honor roll who had the best predictions among our editors. Ding, 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 ding. Chris, Marcus, and Paul Sheehan had 70%. Joyce and I had a mere 66%, and the others had the others. Don't humiliate
You're so kind to Daniel.
Thanks. I'll be gone. Thank you.
Just crawl under the nearest furniture.
To be in my defense,
There's no defense for your score, Dan.
No, there's no defense for my score, but I got, and I will say it publicly, 14 out of 24 correct, 58%, and which was with the worst of all the experts. But it's actually a credit to us experts that my 58% actually matched our odds. Our odds, okay. I missed 10 categories, and our odds missed 10 categories.
So but you're Daniel, not any more stupid than our odds. Okay, good.
Exactly. Daniel, you've won before. Like a few years ago, you got, what, 23 out of 24? So
yes, 23 out of 24.
Just keep saying that.
Don't make excuses for him, Mark.
As far as I'm concerned, that is the only score I have ever gotten. And, this one doesn't, like, drop the lowest score, drop the second, drop every score but the one.
How distant is that memory now?
Oh no, I hold that memory close on mornings like this.
It's the background of his computer, his score.
Yeah. It's basically one of my favorite things about Birdman is that. Yeah, that's why I'm so happy about Birdman.
Let's provide some room here for our winners to crow. Marcus, you first. Well done. How did you do it?
I don't know how I did it, and to be honest, it should have been higher because minutes before the prediction center closed, I was this close to changing two categories from, I had favorite for costumes and production design. I wanted to change them to Black Panther. And if I
switched from Black Panther to favorite.
Oh, you idiot.
I did that like last week. I had Black Panther for both and I switched both. But I got all three shorts correct.
Yeah. Oh, you did? I only got 2 of the 3.
This is the first
time. Always gets all 3 shorts correct. Just about an hour before the prediction center closes, go to see what Joyce is predicting on the short.
I'm going to do that next year. This was one of the few years where I didn't have time to see any of the shorts, and my record on the shorts was better than my record overall. I got 2 out of 3, which was 66% right on the shorts, and 58% overall with all my predictions. So I'm never watching the shorts again. I'm just gonna copy Joyce's prediction.
Okay,
but Marcus watched all of them this year and got 3 out of 3.
This is the first time Oscar history has been made. Everyone, I got all 3 correct.
And I noticed when I was looking over the predictions and you had skin, I thought, the only reason I didn't go with that's the only one I got wrong of the shorts was because it was just like trailer park tattoo white trash people that the Oscar snobs wouldn't go for.
We talk about Tom words sometimes, and when I had skin for a while, and I just thought, who wants to vote for the word skin? It just sounds weird. I think you're right to ask me. I made 2 switches on Friday. I think they were the only switches I made late in the week, but it was a wash. I had changed visual effects to First Man, so I was happy about that. But I changed sound. Everybody was telling me I was so wrong to have Bohemian for sound mixing and sound editing. So I took it out of editing and sound editing.
Quiet Place.
And picked A Quiet Place.
I was doing the live ABC app, Predict As You Go. They had that game, right, with the show. And when it came to sound editing, I picked Bohemian Rhapsody. And then all of a sudden when it won, I went, I got another category right. And I went, wait a minute, that's not what I have at the site. Why did I...
Well, they both won at the Sound Editors Guild, so it was a hard. And First Man and Avengers had won at the visual effects. We had so many categories this year that were truly. I mean, you could really wipe out 3 out of the 5 in almost every category. But it was down to, we call it an A/B. It was almost every category was an A or B. So could you throw the darts just right to get the right one?
That's what I did with costume design, production design, because I had Black Panther and then I switched to favorite, and then I was like, should I just split it and do one of each? But then what if I split it incorrectly? So then I just chose to for the same one for both of them, and I picked the wrong one. For both.
The same scenarios. I knew score was difficult. It could have gone to any of the 5 logistically, or they were all 5 really good scores. But I think we had all discussed amongst ourselves, if you ever have a category and you're not sure, go with the Best Picture nominee. So I think a lot of us had narrowed it down to Black Panther or Black Klansman. And I just debated that all week long, and somehow I landed right on Black Panther. But that was
actually one of the few ones I got. Yeah, that was one of the few ones that I got right. That was kind of close.
I think most people had Beale Street. So
yeah, I ended up doing that one because I was skeptical about Beale Street. Another one I got wrong was I stuck my neck out for Rachel Weisz. But because I didn't see the support for Beale Street in the industry. And then Black Panther won at the Grammys, which is literally the only industry award we had to go on, even though the eligibility here is completely different. And, so I'm like, I'm just going to go with Black Panther and see what happens.
But Black Klansman won a Grammy too.
True, but it was for like one individual track from the score when Black Panther. I know,
but it just made it. Why couldn't they have just gone Black Panther and made it easy on us?
All right, let's talk about the big upset, which is, of course, Green Book for Best Picture. There was a theme in the results across the board, which was screw you to the blogosphere bullies. You don't like Green Book? Too bad. Best Picture, Best Screenplay, and I think we all knew when it won Screenplay that suddenly that danger for Best Picture as the ceremony unfolded was very real. And Bohemian Rhapsody doing so well across the board. Again, the blogosphere bullies didn't like it. It's not cool. But this was an Oscars for the traditionalists. And I think they made wonderful. I'm glad. Chris, aren't you glad Green Book won? You, like me, were a big fan of it.
That was my favorite movie of the whole year. So I'm thrilled, other than my predictions. But Marcus, how many times over that last 3 or 4 days did I say, I really want to pull the trigger on Green Book? And we would talk about it for a minute, or we would be going back and forth on messaging. And I would say, that Peter Farrelly snub, that's big. It's one thing to have an editing snub for Roma, or the SAG thing, or ones that they matter, but they don't really matter. But that directing snub really was bugging me, and I just wouldn't pull the trigger because of that. But I think the one thing we've learned with at least 2,000 more members in the past couple of years, and more international members, and next year be even smaller window of time for voting. Rules don't necessarily matter as much as they used to. The rules we would go by. Every year we're breaking some kind of rule, and you have to just figure out. We noticed on the ballots we were getting secret ballots. We noticed on the ones other websites were getting. Green Book was getting ranked on every single ballot, at least 2 or 3. No other movie was finishing in that top 3 off the ones that I saw. So we knew that on a preferential ballot it could do it.
But you also had no number 1 votes for it, right? We didn't have a big sample.
On our 5, we had no number 1s, but
the ones are less important than the 2s and 3s.
It was the only one.
You just need to be the least disliked. That's how you win Best Picture.
Well, that was the other part of the reason. I mean, what if they just had a clean, year, a clean campaign, nobody going after it? I might have also pulled the trigger, but they were dragging it in the mud. The other campaigns so much.
It is funny how
it's going to weigh on some people that are going to put it down around 7.
Yeah, it's funny how the backlash took down 3 billboards last year, but I think the backlash actually helped Green Book, because if you read some of those anonymous ballots from various websites, some people were just kind of voting for it out of spite because they don't like being told what to like, especially the older white male members of the Academy, the old guard that's still in there. So I think that's part of it.
Well, the difference in 3 billboards in Green Book, they had similar muddy campaigns from other places, but you don't walk out of 3 billboards happy. You walk out of Green Book happy.
Yeah.
I've been saying for a long time now that a streaming film was probably not going to win. I mean, look at the Emmys. It took 5 or 6 years before a streaming TV show finally won one of the big categories, and that was Handmaid's Tale. And this was the first time a streaming movie was nominated. And I just know the way the industry works. It's going to take a few years for this to happen. And it
might take 1 more year.
I had maybe.
They debuted his trailer during the Oscars, so they're already laying their plans.
I had Green Book in my number one slot until the WGA. When it lost at the Writers Guild, I said, okay.
Why couldn't it have won at the Writers Guild? That would have made me think, okay, it's going to win.
Yeah, honestly, like it winning screenplay over The Favorite upset me more because I was like, this decade they've been really good about like actually awarding like really creative and writerly and well-written screenplays. And I mean, you could like one of the movies more than the other, but you can't tell me that Green Book is a better written screenplay than The Favorite. And yeah, so like when I lost the WGA, I was like, okay, I think The Favorite is good for original screenplay. But then the second it won Green Book won original screenplay, I was like, it's winning Best Picture.
Mm-hmm. And what happened to Glenn Close? Because Chris, every single ballot at some point you had told us that was going for Glenn Close. What happened when that envelope was open?
On our 5 secret ballots, it was 4 for Glenn and 1 for Yalitza.
Oh, wow.
I can explain away some things, but I don't understand that one. For people like us that rely on campaigning and interviews, and Olivia Colman is not of the stature of, say, a Frances McDormand or a Christian Bale to not run a campaign, and she ran 0 campaign and still won. And Glenn ran a great campaign, I thought.
I think The Favorite was just had more support because it had 10 nominations, so it was just a more widely seen movie, and Glenn was the only nomination.
No, the irony is that The Favorite lost every single thing we thought it was going to
and
win.
Then it won one that we didn't think was going to win.
It totally pulled an ours where we thought it was going to win screenplay, it didn't, and its only award was Best Actress.
I was devastated when that envelope.
Yeah, I was happy for Olivia, but I was so sad for Glenn.
I love Olivia, and I think it was the best performance in that category, but I was still rooting for Glenn Close.
Yeah, I think if you like watch
Olivia
the
Colman
announcement, like
was rooting for Glenn
they
Close.
were all like Lady Gaga said like, oh my God, like Melissa McCarthy was just shell shocked.
She was mad. You saw that. She was mad, Melissa McCarthy.
Like Glenn, just tried to smile. Yalitza was the most like nonchalant one. She was just like clapping, like happy to be here.
Yeah, she doesn't do this for a living. She's fine.
Yeah.
that was Glenn's 7th loss, we should remind people, and that's a new record among actresses without a win. But
yeah, we thought it was going to be Amy.
Geraldine Page won on her 8th.
Yeah.
So
and Al Pacino.
Yeah, and so there's still a shot, Glenn. You need to get another role, which you're like 7 years old. It's going to be tough because of this industry.
She needs to get Sunset Boulevard.
Sunset Boulevard, somebody's got to step forward. If I was a studio, I'd be thinking, that's almost a guaranteed Oscar win, at least one Oscar win, if not more for costumes and production design and all that. I think I might step forward with the money on that one.
It's just like, I think it's even like crueler in a sense because she came so close. Like this is the closest she's ever been in any of her.
No one thought she was going to win for Al.
Yeah, and then no one, like people thought it was going to be like Gaga or like Olivia going lead, maybe that. But then the second she won the Globe and gave that speech, everything turned. So then I think everyone just kind of got used. I think even Olivia got used to the fact that it's Glenn's time.
Oh yeah, she was the most surprised person in that room.
So it's just like, I mean, if Glenn were nominated and she hadn't won all these precursors and we weren't all expecting this, I think I would have been less sad about her loss. But it's like she dressed in gold, like she was there to win it.
Did you notice?
Susan Wazena just joined us, our senior editor. We're talking about the Olivia Colman upset. Go ahead, Marcus. Finish your thought, then we're going to have Susan pipe in here.
Did you notice that all 4 acting winners, there's a good chance they will be on the Emmy ballot. So we have Rami Malek, Mr. Robot. We have Olivia Colman. The Crown could come back. Mahershala Ali will be on the ballot for True Detective. And then Regina King, I saw a trailer for
Watchmen.
Yes, so all 4 could win Emmys. That's crazy.
I think only one's actually going to be 2 will be on the ballot. Olivia and Rob. They haven't finished Mr. Robot, so that's out. And Regina's show is not slated for any time this season.
I mean, Netflix
and we're not sure
not to try to get the Crown out.
Olivia's got 3 possibilities on the Emmy ballot. So even if The Crown doesn't come back, look out for her in comedy supporting actress and limited series supporting actress.
Susan, you from the beginning of this Oscar season, you were really believing in the Glenn Close thing, and then we talked you out of it. You changed your prediction, and then everybody talked you back into it. But you were an early believer, is what the point I'm trying to make here. What happened?
I wish I knew. But
I think we're all baffled by this. Yes,
No,
she won. Hey, look, Olivia Colman won a BAFTA, so of course, theoretically, that kind of foreshadows the Oscar. But come on, she's British, and we knew she was going to win there.
well, what? Yeah, well, yeah.
And
But
Glenn won SAG, and that was like it should have been the clincher, right? But SAG was worthless.
watching her on the red carpet with that gold dress, which I know Joyce pointed out looked like she was already her own Oscar. She seemed pretty confident. And like she brought her the little white dog to the Independent Spirit Awards. It was on the stage and everything. So she was all ready to have a good time. And I was too. So, but I think, The Favorite had 10 nominations. I don't know if people watched The Wife. They might have.
It was a low priority screener.
And I want her to win, and that was the narrative. But I think The Wife is an okay film. It might be better than Green Book. I don't know. But
it is a little.
But that didn't matter with Beale Street, though.
Look at the positive. Okay, let's turn the frown upside down, because I think she's still going to make movies. And if she does Sunset Boulevard and she gets the right director and it's done right, it could get her something.
Yeah. And that's why
more
I think
worthy of it. Yeah.
That's why I think I was speculating, I think before, or either the pre-show or the post-show, it's, they blend together at this point. But when you have this many nominations without a win, you're competing not just against your fellow nominees, you're competing against your past nominations.
Right.
Where people start to think, okay, is The Wife going to be the movie that we give her the Oscar for, when it wasn't Dangerous Liaisons, when it wasn't Fatal Attraction? And so maybe there were enough people in the Academy who were just like, this is not the right one. Just like for Amy Adams' Vice, this is not the right one for her to win on.
Oh, they haven't thought it through that much, Daniel. You're giving them way too much credit.
But we know,
just what Joyce said, they didn't see it. It was a low priority screener. I love that phrase. Joyce is right. They just didn't see it.
But even people who didn't see it were going to vote for Glenn.
But I think there's also that factor too. It's like, I think like one of our like anonymous voters said like, oh, like Glenn's going to win, so I'm going to vote for someone else. Or maybe it was like some other, like there are a lot of people who think that way. It's like, oh, like they think someone's going to win.
Olivia was definitely the fun choice.
Yeah.
If you wanted to go rogue.
Do you think she was surprised too?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, they were all surprised.
Probably because our predictions were so bad in some of those cases. I was working the red carpet. I know, but I was working the red carpet. I was over there all morning at the Oscars, and everybody was quoting our odds. Even one guy who didn't know I was with Gold Derby, he was yelling at me, but Golden Derby says this. Golden Derby says, and I said, do you know who I am? Never mind. But our odds, our expectations, our critics' consensus was out there everywhere, and the assumptions that were made were in many ways based on our stupid predictions. But look, I've told Dave Carger this. Dave, when I have had this conversation for many years, he joined us from the very beginning of Gold Derby, and he says, Dave gets so, like we all do, just angst-ridden over predictions, and when we don't do well, we're beating ourselves up, and oh God, I can't do it another year. I just can't keep going out on that limb with my predictions. And in those moments of self-doubt that we all have like that, I think the thing we have to remember is that it's very important for us to be wrong. That sounds ridiculous, but think about it. One of the great values of Gold Derby is that when we go back and we look at how stupid we've been in Best Picture, I think 4 out of the last 5 years we've gotten it wrong. I think that's actually the number. We went with with Boyhood over Birdman, Revenant over Spotlight, La
La Land over Moonlight.
La La Land. So and we accidentally got Shape of Water right last year, but by a narrow margin of experts, idiots like me on the
accidentally got it right.
Accidentally got it right. So I think that when we look back historically at the bad predictions of Gold Derby, even like this season, when we go back to August and we look, what did we have number one there? Oh, we had this and that, like Black Klansman. I think it's what our bad predictions, or all of our predictions, do so interestingly is give us that snapshot of industry expectation versus reality. And I think that's an invaluable insight wherever it leads. And sometimes it's not favorable to us.
Well, let me say this. I follow a lot of sports, and people lose tons of money on sports every single day, every single weekend. And they're picking one over another in almost every sport. You're picking this team or this team. You're picking, and that's in almost every sport. The fact that we do as well as we do individually and as a website, picking 1 out of 5
or 1 out of 8
categories, and sometimes 1 out of 7 or 1 out of 8 or 1 out of 10, that's remarkable. And our website had, I think Daniel said we had missed 10. So if we had 14 out of the 24 right as a website, as a combined score, but the other 9, we had them in second place.
Yeah, we had 9 out of the 10 we missed. The winner was in second place in our odds. The only time we had the third place person in our odds won was best sound editing. We had Bohemian Rhapsody down in third, and that ended up winning. But even that wasn't that far out. If you looked at the numerical odds, and a lot of people were predicting it. So even the ones we missed, we didn't miss drastically. It's like no one can come to us in 5th place saying, "Why didn't you predict me to win?" Because no one in 5th place in our odds won. So like everyone who won was the front runner or very close.
Well, to me, that's just amazing compared to sports where people,
that's a good point,
have a very hard time picking between one team and another.
What did y'all think of the ceremony? I loved it. Let me just.
I loved it. That was.
Go ahead.
Like, I don't believe award shows need a host at all.
Susan, I agree. Let Joyce finish the thought.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Joyce.
I just don't believe award shows need hosts at all. Like, I just want to see the winners, read the nominees, give out the awards, and let me hear the speeches. And the problem with the Oscars is their pacing has always been terrible because they only have 24 categories. And you look at the Emmys, they have 27 categories. The Globes now have 27 with the Carol Burnett Award. And the Emmys and the Globes have always managed to finish, around 3 hours, maybe 5 minutes over. The Globes finished 20 minutes over this year because of the extra award. But the Emmys have a host and they still managed to do that with the extra categories. The Globes for a while never had a host. And even with hosts, they still managed to finish relatively on time. So I think, now in modern times, the first time without a host in 30 years for the Oscars, it's perfectly fine, and it made for a more intimate ceremony, I think, because it's just kind of you didn't have to pay attention to this person on stage trying to get you to laugh. There were no wasted moments with tour bus people coming in for 6 minutes and forcing these A-list stars in the first row to entertain them. And it only went 20 minutes over, which I think is a totally, conceivable time for a award show like that.
Susan.
No, I liked who they picked to be the presenters, and they fixed everything pretty well. All the messes were kind of cleaned up, I think, pretty niftily. But seeing Amy Poehler and Tina Fey and Maya Rudolph, her singing to Lady Gaga, Lady Gaga was great. But the rabbit puppets, I wish there was a show with her doing an imitation of Olivia Colman with her little puppet.
I will say the 3 you mentioned, the 3 SNL ladies, when they came out and did their shtick of, "We're not your host, but if we were, we'd be doing this." I wish they had done that, every hour, bring them out every hour. Again, you guys, we're not your hosts, but if we were, and then they could close the show too and be like, if we were your host, we would close it like this, but we're not. So good night. I think it just would have been really fun and a nice wink to the controversy.
And the speeches were all good. I can't believe my skin friend won. And that's his wife, the producer, who made a cameo in the video too. So
General Hospital alum
Jamie Ray Newman.
I was so excited for her. Here's how much into soaps I was at the time. She was on General Hospital like maybe 15 years ago for a couple of years, but her character was important. They killed her off, and it was a huge storyline after that. I've been paying attention to whatever she's done ever since, so I was so thrilled that it's like, Jamie Ray Newman won an Oscar.
I stopped watching after Elizabeth Taylor went to
I think that the 4 acceptance speeches of the actors were superb. I think this is what we love in award shows, when Rami Malek got up there and with just such just force of passion. I will remember this moment the rest of my life. I am the son of Egyptian immigrants. These moments he had, one after another, that were just gut kicking. And then when Elizabeth Colman gets up there and like, whoa, when Olivia Colman got up out of her seat, kind of spun around like, am I in a dream? And you saw Emma Stone over her shoulder going, yes.
Emma was the happiest person in the room.
And then Yorgos Lanthimos got up and like hugged her, and he was crying. I loved that so much.
I loved it too. But Lady Gaga, when she won for Song and she was up there pouring her heart out, she was aching. And these are the big, wonderful moments of show business awards where you hear Lady Gaga say, "This is hard work," carrying all these jewels around every day.
How great was her performance?
I'm a little disappointed she didn't do a meat dress thing. Like, come on, voting is over. They're not going to penalize
her crazy spout at the Grammys. Like, this is like, she has to be classy. So.
And the staging. This is a shout out to Glenn Weiss, the director, who also does such a superb job at the Tony Awards. Boy, the staging of the song of the Star Is Born song was perfect.
I love how they just went into it like no.
Yes, the camera comes around.
I was watching one of my sports shows, and they have they do entertainment stuff too. One of their reporters was talking to Glenn Weiss after the show last night. The whole Star Is Born segment was Bradley Cooper. He directed the whole thing.
Oh, did he? Was perfect, because look at how it started.
And basically told them what he wanted the shots.
Well, that's why then he did this at the end of it. Like, whew, that explains it. But the genius of the shot. So the camera just goes around, and here we see our friends Gaga and Bradley in the front row. Oh, we'll just step up to do a number for our friends here around us. They get up and they slide into these roles perfectly. He doesn't try to compete with her during those screaming parts of the song. He just stayed and did his role, and then he just let her do it while he just kind of rocked back and forth on his stool, and then came around. And as he came around the piano there, the way the camera moved, it was our point of view as the viewer, and it was as if we were stepping by to let him go by and sit near Gaga. And then the way they framed the shot with his profile against hers, and they were done, and she turned to him with these sparkling eyes like, "We did it!" and they nailed it. And then he got up, and then Bradley did this. This is the biggest reality show on TV. These are our cultural gods who are winning and losing like we do every day of our lives. And there are these moments that will live forever. We didn't get to see when Rami fell off the stage, did we? That was a commercial.
There's a video on Twitter.
Wow.
I just found a video on Twitter. It was actually pretty funny.
Oh my God. Funny because
he's just like walking and then he just like plops.
Oh my God.
Well, I really enjoyed the show, but the person in me that would love to produce one of these one day, I cannot stand presenters that have never met each other presenting together. That just makes no sense to me whatsoever. You've had like 5 different Black Panther people on stage presenting 5 different awards with people they didn't know.
I know. They should not have had them bestow awards to themselves.
Yeah, well, they know the categories where the film was up.
Somebody presenting an award that's involved in the category. And I don't even just mean a co-star. And Samuel L. Jackson had no business presenting an award where Spike Lee is involved, because
I liked that one. I'll give them that one.
It turned out fine, but the people sitting at home go, "Oh, well, they knew." Well, they didn't know, but they sort of knew. But what if he hadn't won? Samuel L. Jackson would have gone on into profanity. I mean, it would have been very embarrassing if Spike Lee hadn't won. I don't like. There's so many opportunities to not To not have
I
somebody.
don't think he would have done it on stage. He would have just complained afterwards.
No,
And
we've seen people upset before that their person didn't win. I don't like that at all. I thought certain aspects of the show were incredible, and if they hadn't, really the time killer for the whole show was introducing those 8 Best Picture nominees. Not that it didn't really add much to the show. You could have done just a quick montage, but you take that out, which had to have been 16 minutes. They're right.
The Green Book one went so long, and it was the last one.
They're right at 3 hours if they take those out. They could have still done all 24 categories and everything else, all 5 songs. They could have done everything they wanted to do if they just didn't do the Best Picture presentations.
What was it? Lady Gaga, when she was kind of going off the rails? Who was it? Who was talking when Jennifer Hudson was like in the audience going, with this hilarious response, like, "Oh God, this was it Spike or was it?"
I think it was Lady Gaga when she was saying how
she was going off the rails, and we weren't sure whether, and she was in crazy land, and we weren't sure that she was going to rescue this moment. So I mean, it was so perfect, because this is what we were all thinking, like, "Oh God, Gaga, don't lose it now. Go. This is your moment. We want this to be a winning thing for you." And then she turns around and nails it. But to watch Jennifer Hudson's be like, "Oh my God, she's not going to get through this. She's gonna." Oh, but she did. Go, girl. Okay. You got this, fine. And the fact that they stayed with the camera on her, which was not flattering for Gaga to do that, was wonderful.
I said in our blog item where we were all commenting, Glenn Weiss is just the master at this stuff.
Is.
That opening section with Amy and Tina and Maya, his audience reactions were just perfect. Yeah. He found just the right people at just the right moments, and he's just an expert at that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Bravo, Glenn. Brilliant show.
Come do another interview with us in a few weeks.
Good. Let's do it. Absolutely.
He keeps winning the Emmy every year for this.
Good.
Well, that's Mr. Proposal, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Proposal at the end.
This time maybe it'll be like one of those like baby gender reveals or something when he wins, or like
he probably would have gotten married on the Oscars if they didn't have the 3-hour mandate. So
okay, well, let's wrap this up. Final thoughts. We will work from the right of my screen. Susan, and then Joyce, and then Marcus, then Chris. Susan, you first. Final thought.
I thought the show was better than some of the movies, so that's a good thing. I enjoyed it more than any publicity would have told us otherwise. So maybe this will help, make it more of a inclusive event the way they did it.
Joyce, you're next.
Yeah, I really like the first part of the show when you had all these historic wins with Ruth Carter and Hannah Beachler becoming the first African-American winners of their categories. And they make it just 3 Black women who've won Oscars for non-acting things, because most Black women have just won for acting. And the only other person is Irene Cara for song. So like that's huge. And you had so many, diverse winners. And I thought the pacing of the show was really well done. So I'm here for no hosts forever. And I'm very happy that Richard E. Grant met Barbra Streisand.
We should wear T-shirts that say no host. Wear it all the time.
The best moment for me was the Stars Born performance. I think that's the greatest performance I've ever seen on the Oscar stage.
Woo.
My least favorite moment, I love Olivia, but Glenn, this was Glenn's trophy, and I felt my heart ripped out of my chest at that moment.
It's so hard because like you're happy for one,
yeah,
and you're so sad for the other.
And then when Olivia said, Glenn, I didn't want it to be this way. All right, Daniel, you're next.
Well, I will be the Minority Report. I'm actually writing an article with that title on Green Book. As someone who liked it better than a lot of the detractors, I will say it was the wrong Best Picture winner.
Oh God, you're gonna. I'm gonna write its defense.
Oh, okay.
You're taking on all you bloggers for bullies.
I'm not writing a takedown. I'm just the reason it was the wrong winner. I think it's a bad winner for the Oscars, and I think it'll hurt Green Book how it's viewed in the future. Because here you have, as Joyce was saying, You had a year where we had so much progress in terms of, these, Black Panther was winning historic awards, and Regina King won for Beale Street, and Spike Lee won for the first time for Black Klansman. And the best picture of the year, and Roma was, this incredible Mexican achievement. And best picture, besides that, the story of racism has to be told by white people from a white point of view.
Oh, that's simply wrong. We see this movie through Mahershala's eyes mostly, and it was
apparently wasn't accurately portrayed at all. So that's
right.
The problem.
I'm sure that 99% of the Oscar winning roles historically are not accurate.
No, but I mean, like, if you're going to say that the movie is from his point of view, and then his family comes out and says, like, no, this is not who this guy was.
It's like the issue is not really that he's not accurately portrayed. It's that, like, they didn't even consult his family.
Chris, you and I know that this is a great Best Picture win. We got to take these young'uns on like Daniel. Sum it up for us, Chris.
I was so fearful this was going to be a bad show for weeks and weeks and weeks, but they really pulled it out of the fire, and I feel like it was the best paced Oscars I've seen in a long time. I'm not in the no host family, because you get a Billy Crystal at his prime, or a Whoopi Goldberg in her prime, or Bob Hope or Johnny Carson. They can be unbelievable. Hugh Jackman's one year. There can be really great hosts. And they can do it in 3 hours and 10 minutes, whatever. It just happened to be that this year worked really well without one.
My final thought is this is one of the great Oscar years overall. We got stumped in 2 of the top races, and we like that when it happens, because this is a race, and we have to act like we know what's happening, because that's what a pundit's supposed to do, be smug, and give you confidence in our confidence. But on the other hand, we get humbled at the finish line very often. And this is showbiz. This is entertainment. And the Oscars put on a show, both on the awards arena for us, on the track, and on the stage. And they didn't, with all the calamity and all the criticism that was dumped on this year, they pulled it out in the end beautifully, I think. But that doesn't matter. What do you think? Stick with Gold Derby. Pipe in with your comments in the forums and in the comments section, and let us know. Thanks.